Hey, folks, and welcome to Both Sides of Par. This is the golf podcast for every handicap. We come at it from both ends of that handicap spectrum because I'm the high handicapper, Colin Gray, and I'm joined by Ross, the low handicapper. How are you getting on today, Ross?
Yeah, pretty well, Colin. How you been?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm just in off the course, so
Excellent.
yeah, quite relaxed, quite happy, actually. It was a decent little round, actually. Could talk a little bit about that later. I kind of treated it as a real practice round. I hit quite a few balls. I barely did a putt. But yeah, I'll come back to that, actually. I'd like to ask you a question about that, actually.
Yeah, sure.
But we've got a few things for today, don't we? You've got Senior Open qualifying. We've got to get to scratch. So finally, hit that scratch. And I've got a couple of different topics, actually. I've been building a little app, actually, that I think will be fun for golfers, hopefully for our audience. So I want to ask you a few questions about that. And reciprocals too. Reciprocals from other courses.
That's a good topic.
Yeah. So someone I've been thinking about a lot, actually. But yeah, do you want to talk about, what do you want to jump into first? I feel like I'd like to ask you about this Senior Open qualifying. You've entered, haven't you?
I have entered, yeah. So the first criteria was I had to get to scratch, which I've talked about, I guess, almost every episode on here.
Well, do you know what? Maybe that's the order to take it then. So you just got scratched, didn't you, Ross?
I did.
What's worth talking about in that? Like, that is, well, congratulations to start with. That's
Thank
huge.
you.
That's amazing. First time, isn't it, for you?
No, back to scratch for me. Yeah,
great.
but
Excellent.
It's been an absence of like 16 years since I last played off scratch, maybe 16 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been, I guess, since I moved to England like 12 years ago, it's been a bit of a struggle. I moved down here, I was off 0.6, and then like the second competition I got the putting yips, which I'd had before when I was in Scotland. I'd had a number of times, but I got it like really, really bad, and it took me a long time to get through that, to the point that I changed to left-handed putting, of course. So I've been consistent with left-handed putting for now nearly 3 years, and that's made a huge difference. So yeah, it's been a bit of a gap, but just really nice to get back to scratch. And of course, like, the handicap system's changed. Do I see it as being the same thing as what I did before? I tell you, it felt as big. It felt as hard to go over the line. And people could argue over the format of the handicap system, but I do feel like I'm playing really quite well, and playing probably as well as I was when I first got to scratch. So yeah, I think it's definitely validated it for me at the moment.
Nice, yeah. Oh, there's a ton of stuff I want to ask about in this. Relating it to higher handicaps too, like getting your, like, what is it that gets your handicap down stroke by stroke? But that's an interesting one first, like around, do you think your play right now, sort of as you're same-ish age as me, late 40s, approaching 50, yeah?
Well, I need to be, because I want to enter the Senior Open. I'm almost there.
True.
Edging closer.
Do you think the way you got to scratch this time around is different from 2 decades ago? Do you think the play's different? Do you think the mental game's different? Do you think the difference is different, if that's a silly question? The difference you've made in your play is different this time around than last time around?
Although there's similarities, like, there's definitely similarities. I always had a challenge. I'll just call it a challenge. I always had a challenge seeing getting beyond 0.5 as a barrier, because I got to 0.5 or 6 when I was about 23, 24.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't get past it, and then went back up to, I think I went up over 3 or just under 3.0. And it was from there I got back down again, and I went from like 2.9 1 year to plus 2.1 in about probably 5 months, which was pretty crazy. But at that point, the feeling definitely was really tough to get beyond. At the time, trying to beat the standard scratch enough to get my handicap down. And I could do it. Like, I shot 4 and 5 under, I'm going to say a few times before I got to scratch back then. And of course I got to like 0.5, and it's just like in my mind, I need to do X, I need to do Y.
Yeah.
And that's the worst part, right? You just think, you've got something that you're thinking about, you don't really need to do anything. You just need to play golf.
Stresses you out too much.
That's the issue.
Was it primarily psychological as opposed to
Absolutely.
there was just a little bit extra you had to do?
I wanted to do it because at that time I wanted to get an open entry in, so I wanted to enter the open. That's something that I'd wanted to do since I was a kid. So that was right in front of me. It's just in my face all the time and I'm making it a thing. I'm making it bigger than what it is. A lot of people don't do that, but for me, it's just how I am personally. I was wanting to really achieve that goal, and it just seemed to be everything I thought about.
I think most people are like that, to be honest. When you get to that, I feel like I'll be the same for I'm currently working down to, to get below 20, and then it'll be below 10. There'll be these milestones, I think, probably get in everyone's head.
Yeah. I tell you, the one I got stuck on for ages before that was 6 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the old handicap system, at 6 you would go down 0.2 per shot, and at 5 you go down 0.1. So I'd invariably get to 5.5, get cut 0.2, down to 5, and then in my brain I'm like, oh, this is different. This is hard. And I'd invariably go back up to 6 and then shoot a good score again and get cut 0.3, 0.4, back down to 5. Sat there for ages. I remember being there for months. And then somehow, out of nowhere, I just got to 4, and it was like, well, I don't need to worry about that anymore. And then you just kind of move down again. So, yeah, definitely psychological. 100%. And, of course, has my skill level changed? I think it definitely did at the time, back then. And I think it has got better. I'd be very confident saying I've got better again. Definitely.
Yeah. What has made the difference then in the last 6 months? Like, what do you think has been that edge that has got you down from, 1, 2, 3, down those kind of 2 or 3 strokes that you needed to get to scratch again?
I think, honestly, us having these conversations every week has been really helpful, because we're talking pretty much every week about how we're approaching what we're doing, whether that's core strategy, what's in our heads, me, potentially a lot of broken bottles in my brain at times. But I definitely feel like we've talked about practice routines, we've talked about technique. Not that we're trying to focus on those, but I think we've done some practice. We've both done practice around those things to improve our skill level. So
yeah,
that definitely has come through. And then I changed putting 3 years ago now to left-handed. My putting's been really pretty good, to be honest. And I just focus on pace a lot. The lag putting thing that Scott Fawcett talked about has been really key. Like I'll stand over a 15, 20 foot putt, and back in the day my mind would be, right, I'm just going to ram this in for a birdie and here we go. But now I want to say conservative, but I want to get the ball within a good area around the hole. And if it falls in, right? And actually what's happening is it falls in more often now because I'm not stressing out about trying to put it in the hole. So that's been really good.
Utterly identify with that. That was one of the best conversations I think we've had.
Absolutely.
Weirdly, we got somebody else in, obviously, but I think that was one of the best tips I've had over the last 2 years. And I think about it a lot now. And it just makes me less stressed about putting as well, because I've only got one thing to worry about. I worry less about... I mean, I'm still hitting it in the right direction. I'm still trying to read the putt. I'm still trying to get it close-ish. But I'm like, it doesn't matter so much. As long as I'm a foot either side, it's the distance I'm worrying about. And that has made a huge difference. I had 0 3 putts on my last 18 holes, which is probably, I don't know, I can't even remember the last time that happened. And I hold a whole bunch of 10-footers, something between 8 and 10-footers, because I was just hitting it more consistently. So yeah, I totally identify with that too.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this before, maybe when Scott was on, or you and I talked about it after we'd spoken to him, but whether it's just perception, but perception quite a lot of times is probably real.
Yes,
I don't feel like I don't feel like I've 3-putted quite as often as I used to, because you remember that. And I know I did it a couple of weeks ago. I kind of blew the chance to get down to scratch because I did miss a couple of short putts, and a couple of them were actually 3 putts. So, but beyond that, the last few rounds, I can't really remember having, certainly not what I would describe as a horrific 3-putt.
Ones, yeah.
One from maybe 6 feet where you've rammed it 4 feet by. Can't remember that.
Yeah.
The other things I would say that have definitely helped is I've been working on speed. And I think what's interesting is people hear you saying, "Oh, I'm working on speed, I'm doing speed training." They just look at you like, "What, you trying to be Bryson DeChambeau?" And I'm like, "No, not really." But I knew at the course I'm playing at and other courses when I've gone away that I've lost distance over the last, I'll call it 8 years or something like that. Definitely gone backwards. Especially during COVID, I got a bit of back injury, really slowed down, was hardly swinging, and it felt really hard to move the ball. So the reason for adding speed was not necessarily because I wanted to just have a speed number. I was looking at carries that I would look at before and think, well, I could get over that bunker. Again, not because I'm trying to be Superman, but because it makes sense. Like Scott Fawcett talked about that on the show, right?
Yep.
He talked about be aggressive off the tee. Now, aggressive and stupidity are not far away from each other. And that was what I was doing a few years back, certainly 4 years ago, because I didn't really have the speed in the locker to take on a bunker at 265. I just didn't. And then I was trying it because I had maybe done that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now I can look at that bunker, 265, and as long as it's not blowing a hoolie into my face, I can take it on. And that gives me what Scott talks about, that aggressive approach. Now, if it's really strong wind out my face, or say it's really hard downwind or something the other end of that carry, I will change the club. But that adding that speed has not been about, I just want to smash the ball, I want to hit 8-iron instead of 7-iron. It's actually given me a different skill that I didn't really have for a long time. So I've been able to hit 5-wood off the tee more often, 3-wood off the tee more often, and got myself into less trouble. So that's been really good. And then with having the extra speed, occasionally there's situations where I can really go after it and take on something, especially downwind, that's maybe a little bit further, or there's maybe a pinch point I can carry it past versus only getting to the pinch point before. So that's been really nice, and it's definitely helped. Like hitting wedge versus hitting 8-iron on some holes absolutely helps you. There's no question about that.
That's really cool. Yeah, it ties to my practice today, actually. I went out today. I think this has made a difference to my handicap coming down like 5, 6, 7 strokes in the last 6 months. Is the more purposeful golf practice. Like I do a fair bit off the mat. But it's just not the same, is it? It's like, I think it's good for consistency. I think it obviously makes a difference. It's good to get out there and just hit like 20, 30 of the same shot and just feel it and try and get more consistent. And just that has helped me feel more, I can tell when I've hit a slightly bad shot. I can tell when it's gone right. I can tell when it's gone left without even looking at it. And I think that is honing me in, definitely making me more consistent for club path, for face alignment, all that kind of stuff. But then getting actually out in the course and having the confidence to do that when I've only got one shot as opposed to 20, there's something around the fact that when you're on the mat, the pressure is completely zero, because it doesn't matter if you hit one off the heel or whatever and it skates across the ground. You've got 19 more to go. Doing it on the course is completely different. And I have been guilty, I think, of just only going out when I'm playing competitions, playing the medals, or playing with friends, or when I feel a bit more high pressure, I can't just hit another ball just to see how that feels when I do a bad one. But I've been going out, and today was an example where I didn't putt at all. I putted maybe twice. I played about 10, 11 holes, and I hit 2 or 3 off the tee every single time, because my main goal was, I had 2 goals. One was driving, so just get more confident with actually being able to hit the driver off the tee, which I've talked to you about is one of my troubles. And the other is pitching in. So actually short shots from like 50, 60 yards down to maybe 20 or 30 and testing them. So I had those 2 shots I was practicing, simply off the tee and those short chips. And I just hit 2 or 3 balls on every shot that I had on those. And that was just like, it didn't even matter so much if I completely skated it off. I still, like 1 in 3, maybe even 2 in 3 sometimes, I would slice my driver the same way. But I was hitting more and more straight, just because I was trying it off the tee and just feeling it. And that's made a difference to me, actually, just doing those little rounds by myself where there's less pressure and just feeling more confidence and actually doing I'll come back to the chip and run versus pitching a little bit later. Actually, it's a separate thing altogether, I think. But does that, yeah? Do you ever do that? Like when you're kind of just trying to hone in those little things, like just actually concentrate on one thing at a time on a practice round?
Yeah, and it's interesting, Colin. We've talked about this, and it's something I really committed to a couple of years back. I had a guy called Jamie Edwards on Link by Golf, and Jamie's a performance coach for a lot of really, I guess, talented people in the world that are in sports. But he'll tell you that he just sees people as people, and that's what we all are. So what I took away from that conversation was that I wasn't really holding myself accountable in terms of practice. I was going to hit balls and working hard, but not really testing myself where you've described on the golf course, which is where you're going to get better. So I've definitely done that as well. I've done a couple of things, like I'll do what you're talking about. If there's certain shots, certain tee shots, I'll hit a couple of drivers. I'll hit maybe 3-wood twice just to get the distance. What's the landing point? What's the best strategy for that hole? Which is really good, because then you know what you're doing.
That's it. There's a big thing around just getting to know your own course as well, isn't it? Like the places you commonly end up. Like what is really... One example, Muirvor, like my course here, there's one hole which is really heavily uphill. You nearly always land in the same place if you hit a decent shot, and it's a horrible shot into the green from there because it's a big, massive off camber, hit a right-sided hill, 2-tiered green up on the top. It's a horrible thing to try and get it onto the top tier and actually get a putt. But I hit like 6 or 7 shots from where I normally land today because it was nice and quiet. I could do that, and that made such a difference. I figured out finally what I should be doing every time. Yep.
Absolutely. And I think I talked on here about the 7th hole of my course is, it's like 350 or something from the back tee, maybe 340. It's not that long, but from the yellow tee, I can pretty much drive it fairly easily. It's not like I'm going to have to do speed training stuff to get on there.
Yep.
Although the speed I've added, of course, has made that easier, right? What I mean is I'm not doing a crazy swing to get it on the green. But I looked back at my scores on that hole, and I was over par. I think it was like my second worst hole in the whole golf course, and it's 340, right? I'm like, I'm doing something wrong here, and it was just the strategy. So I got a couple of balls a while back, hit maybe 3 or 4 balls off the blue tee, as it is the longest one. Tried to hit driver. I'm like, driver's just not the shot here. It's just landing basically straight in the longest bunker. If I don't catch it right or I go offline and the bailout left to miss, it's not big enough, there's more trouble. Like, right, what are you doing? Hit 5-wood or 4-iron? So strangely, started hitting 5-wood and 4-iron, and I've had one disaster on it where I think I picked the wrong club for the second shot, but other than that, I've pretty much parred it every time I've played it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
and it's just come from, well, one, looking at the score in the hole, but two, having that time to take the realisation of what you do in this golf hole. This is not the shot. Driver's a shot from yellow tee forward. Go backwards. It's a slightly longer hole. Intuitively, you might think hit driver. No. Driver is not the shot. Go shorter because you want to be 130 yards from the green and just hitting a wedge. And it's not that difficult a shot. So that's definitely one of the other things that's come through.
Aye, a bit of practice. Yeah, cool. Okay. Any last little tips? Anything else you've kind of you feel like has made a big difference along the way?
I'd say the other thing that since I spoke to Jamie, I've still got a goal to be more than 5 under or more than 5 under par on a round.
Yep.
And I've done it. So 5 under's the lowest I've ever been in any round at any time, either in the middle or at the end of a round. And I've done it a number of times now in practice rounds. Practice in inverted commas, and that's been great. Getting myself used to being under par, so playing from the black tees, the very forward tees, or the yellows, or even the blues, but trying to get as far under par as I can so that I know what that feels like, because I'm invariably going to feel stressed if I get under par, and I don't really feel that so much anymore, so that's been really helpful. Plus it's also helped, and it helped at the weekend coming to the end. I think I've said a few times that I've come to the end of a round and I've not necessarily needed to, but I've wanted to have a couple of birdies to finish with a half decent score, get under par.
Yeah.
And I've done it. I've done it a few times. I've birdied like 16 and 18, or I've birdied 15 and 17. And on the weekend there, I knew coming up the last few holes that if I birdied, like after I parred 16, I knew if I birdied 17, I was definitely going to be scratched even if I double bogeyed the last. I know that's a bit of a weird way to think about it, but given my challenges of getting through these things, I knew if I got 17 and birdied it after parring 16, get me back to level, and I could do anything on the last, and I was guaranteed to be scratched. And I hit 9-iron on 17 to about 10 feet, rolled the putt in and went mental. So I was like roaring and bawling, and the guys in the group with me are just laughing at me, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, that's me scratch again. But that experience of keeping doing those things in practice, it's just the same thing. And that's what Jamie would say to you. It's just, well, why is it any different? It's just a round of golf. You're out there playing golf. You're making the medal bigger than what it is. You're making the Open that you go to watch, play in, bigger than what it is. It's just a game of golf where you mark a scorecard. That's the only difference. Obviously, I don't mark a scorecard when I go out and play my own. What's the difference literally is I'm putting my score on a card. If you treat it the same, right, if you treat it the same in terms of rules, make it the same rules, as long as you're playing competition rules, that's a score you can go for. And I just hit one ball and I test myself that way. That's been really good.
Yeah. So you can feel that pressure, yeah. I mean, the other argument, sometimes I've heard people say this as well, is especially when you have a round like that, maybe this is impossible to do. Maybe this is more a high handicapper thing. I'm not sure you can get away with it, but it's to ignore the score, like actually literally not count it. So you write it down and forget about it. You're not even thinking about over, under, all that kind of stuff. You just do the best thing, hole by hole by hole, and not worry about it whatsoever. I've heard pros talk about that. Like I don't know what, maybe this is just bluster. Maybe this is kind of fake, but you hear like some of them say, oh yeah, I was on the 16th, the 15th. I hear some cheers, but I'm not looking at the leaderboard. I'm just thinking about that hole, what's in front of me. I know what I can do on this hole. And it kind of makes sense to do that because it doesn't put the pressure on. It's just you're playing your own game and, you just do the best you can in that given moment anyway. And then what will be. Doesn't matter what anyone else does. I don't know. What do you think of that? Like, is that something you can do? Can you go out
I wish I could
ignore it? You can't.
Trust me, I've tried.
Can you not do it?
I just, unfortunately, barring a couple of exceptions, I'm always aware of my score.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because of the way I've played when I was young. I was just so used to focusing on the score because I wanted to beat my previous score. I wanted to make sure I could, break 100, break 90, do all the different things, and it's just unfortunately ingrained into me. And there's only a couple of times in my life, honestly, I can think that I've been anywhere in a golf course and then suddenly realised, wow, what a score I'm on here. And of course it's like, oh my God, why did I just think about
that? Yeah. I mean, I'm talking, I always want to know it at the end. Like I add it up at the end, I'm always interested, but I think I've maybe tried to not track it too much when I'm out there.
I think definitely being aware of the score's one thing, but making sure that when you hit the next shot, you're focused entirely on that shot. Like I stepped off the ball loads of times, and I think it was that Saturday. I stepped off the ball loads of times, and I actually stepped off the putt on 17 before I hit it because I realised I hadn't gone through my routine properly. And I thought, I'm standing over the ball, I'm like, I haven't done my routine properly, that's all I'm thinking about, right, get off it. Only takes another 7 seconds, honestly.
Cool.
So I stood back, went through it, hit the putt and it goes in. It's like, wow.
That's great.
How cool was that?
Cool. Well, congrats again. That's great to hear. So we've officially now got a proper high handicapper golfer in my form, and an actual scratch golfer on the podcast now. So we're truly both ends of the handicap. That's cool.
Yeah, and then you said you've got some topics as well, Colin, that you wanted to bring up for today. So what's next on the list for you?
Well, do you know what? I want to jump into the Open qualifying first because it leads on just from this. And now, so Ross, you've now hit scratch. You've hit scratch handicap, which means you are eligible to enter, the Open, the British Open. You can enter the normal and the senior at the moment now, can't you?
Yeah, I'm just unfortunately missed the window for doing the Open for this year.
So that's date-wise,
But I will try and play in it next year, definitely.
Yep.
something I've done in the past and I've enjoyed.
So tell me about the senior then. Like, what's the process? You need to be scratch handicap to enter. Is that's the kind of minimum or maximum?
Yeah, criteria is really simple. You either need to be a professional. You need to be 50 on the first day of the tournament.
Sure.
Which I will be. So I turned 50 just a few days before the tournament. I actually turned 50 2 days before the qualifying, so that's great. And the other criteria is if you're not a pro, just be 0.4 or less. So, and that's what the Open is as well. So the Open's the same, which I think is brilliant. It's always been that way. So when I was a kid, as I mentioned, I wanted to get to scratch because I could enter the Open. So the Senior Open this year is at Gleneagles. It's on the King's Course.
Yeah.
Which is funny, that's the first place I ever went to see a professional golf tournament in person when I was about 11. So I got really nice memories of there. The process was relatively simple, reasonably long form, but pretty simple. Ultimately paid 250 quid.
Yeah, yeah. So
pick the course you want to qualify at. You definitely want to think about whether you enter it or not.
Yeah.
But £250 entry. And the really nice thing is, for the Senior Open, it's just a one-round shootout. So for the Open, because it's so large, I would go to regional qualifying, then final qualifying if I got through. Regional qualifying, there's 12 get through-ish. Final qualifying, there's like 3 or 4 get through from a field of 140, so it's really, really tough. Yeah. Senior Open is 114 spots at each course. There's 4 courses for what you would say is final qualifying. And those courses are Blairgowrie, so it's Rosemount and Lansdowne at Blairgowrie. There's Glenbervie and then there's Stirling. So I've chosen Stirling because I've never played either Blairgowrie course, and I don't think it'd be a smart idea to go and play somewhere I've never been.
New,
And apparently they're pretty tree lined, so that doesn't sound like it makes sense to me. Glenbervie I've played before, and it's a really nice course. But I actually prefer Stirling. It's a lovely golf course and I've got good memories of playing there. And then the funny thing is I get lessons from Scott Borman, who's one of the pros.
Oh, nice.
And I know Kenny Monaghan, who is the head pro there. So yeah, hopefully good vibes going to Stirling. And that's on Monday the 20th of July.
That's really interesting. So there's 4 qualifying days.
Yeah.
About 140 spaces, you said, per day.
114 people on each course, so there's what's that, 460 people almost.
Yeah, totally. And then how many go through from that for the senior?
I think there's 7 to 10 from each venue, which is pretty good for a one-rounder.
So 35 to 40 people total.
Yeah.
And is there a finals to get into the Open from the
that's
Senior Open
it.
from there?
If you make it, you're in.
So 35 to 40 people go through from those 4 days of qualifying.
And it's all on the same day.
That's
so
really cool.
the four tournaments are on the Monday. Then the actual tournament has started in terms of practice days by then. So you're in the tournament week.
It's on the week, right? Even better. Yeah.
So if you qualify on the Monday, you're like straight to Gleneagles on the tee.
So it's it's like a fifth day. Is it? Well, Senior Open, is it 4 days? Is it the same as So it's a 5th day of the tournament, really. And it's like a first day, which is making the cut. On that first day, you get into the next 2 days. Do they do a cut halfway through the actual tournament as well?
Yeah, so it goes Monday's a qualifying, and so the qualifying's obviously away from Gleneagles. The people who are at Gleneagles have already qualified. They have a practice day that day. And then there's a Pro-Am on the Tuesday. So they do a Pro-Am because it's on the Legends Tour. Basically the former European Senior Tour. So they've got a Pro-Am and then a practice round. So obviously folk like Henrik Stenson, who are actually playing. Henrik Stenson's in the field, so he's going to be playing the Pro-Am, I'm sure. Then the numpties who qualify would go out after that. And then the Wednesday is just a straight practice day, so no Pro-Am or anything. And then Thursday you're into the tournament. 2 rounds, cut at halfway. So yeah, pretty exciting. And I know 2 people who've done it. So one of my former school teachers, Johnny Johnson's done it, and a guy called Kenny Gallagher. I had both of them on my other podcast, and they did it. So they made the 1 round shootout. Johnny did it at Royal Portrush about 22 years ago, and Kenny did it something like 10 years ago.
Yeah. That's really cool. I look forward to following along. I asked you the date yesterday, obviously wondering if I could get down to watch. That'd be cool to come along and actually watch you around. But I don't
Yeah,
think I can, annoyingly. But that'd be
I
cool
think
sometime in the future.
score-wise, because you obviously want to invariably have a number in your mind,
Yes.
and I've always known when you go to regional qualifying what kind of number. Most of the guys will be. You don't want to think about it, but you want to have some idea. I think 3 under par is going to have a pretty good chance of making it. Because I've seen in the past, most venues, it's about 3 under has got a good shot
Really?
making it.
Yeah, you're talking about, I mean, 40 out of 560. You're talking about like 7 or 8%, aren't you? Top 7 or 8%. So it is like
And
it's a high
I mean,
bar.
there's some proper senior tour players playing.
Really?
Who
Even in the
have been,
qualifying?
why,
Really?
totally, yeah. Because it's the British,
Aye, yeah.
you've got some really top players playing.
Who would be an example of the kind of top or the most famous players still playing in the Senior Open like that?
Well, technically, Poulter and Westwood would be eligible this year, but of course they've got their situation with Liv that they can't play. Henrik Stenson, I think, is confirmed, so he is playing. I don't know if Paul Laurie's playing, but it's that type of player.
Yeah, so people,
KJ
real
Choi
names.
won it in the past.
Yeah.
Podrick Harrington will be playing.
Oh,
so,
nice.
yeah.
That would be an episode for the podcast if you ended up qualifying and then you're in the first day with Porrig.
Yeah, well, that would be different. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but look, it's just really nice. I think the thing that's really nice is to be able to enter.
Yeah.
And look, it's not cheap, but if you're not, for me, if I've not got goals when I'm playing golf and there's not something to achieve, well, what am I playing for? And I'm not saying that doesn't need to be true for everybody. I do play golf for enjoyment. I do love the game. Like, I literally love the game, but the thing that really keeps me going and has kept me going the last few years is thinking I could get back to scratch. As mad as that sounded when I was up at 4 and had the chipping yips, driving yips, you name it, I had every yip going. So getting through all of that's been really satisfying, and just having that opportunity again to give somebody 250 quid to enter the lucky ticket draw.
No,
so we'll see.
I imagine playing the qualifying itself is an experience. Like, never mind getting through to the actual tournament. So that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Oh well, I look forward to hearing about that. The day after. That'll be good fun. Good luck with it all.
Or you maybe won't hear at all when I disappeared on the road.
We'll just, the listeners out there will never hear about this again because you'll be like 5, 10 over or something like that in your round.
Yeah, hey Ross, what'd you shoot last week? I don't know what you're talking about, Colin.
In what?
Yeah. Medal was cancelled.
Yeah,
bad
nice. Weather. All right. A couple of things I want to talk about. So maybe a quick one here, but I spent a couple of days yesterday building an app for golfers. It was something that popped into my head on a drive, actually. I was driving home from round one day. I was driving home from playing with a friend, actually. We've been going around and trying to play as many of the courses in our area. So there's an area between Inverness and Aberdeen whereby there's a whole bunch of great courses out there. He lives away across in Aberdeen, I live here, so we're meeting in the middle, and we're basically trying to cross off this region. And it's something around, as a Scot, like Munro bagging is a big thing up here. I'm not sure if that translates outside of Scotland, but you'll know it, Ross, like the process of the Munro is a mountain in Scotland that's over 3,000 foot, and loads of people try and tick them all off. They try and go through them all. And there was something around, I have a kind of gamification thing in just about anything I do, which meant I want to try and tick off all of the courses in my region. And I looked around and I couldn't really find anything that does this. So I just sat for a day or two in the last couple of days and built this little simple app, which is essentially a course bagger. So it breaks all the courses in the country down into regions. So we've got Highland, we've got Ayrshire, we've got Aberdeenshire, all these regions, breaks down all the courses. So you can tick them off just one by one and see how you're completing each region. So right now I'm on like 10, 20% of the Aberdeenshire region because we've played a few of the courses there. But I've added in what I call prestige points based around the courses too. So you get these courses that are rated by different types of of aspects. And this is what I want feedback on. It's whether that kind of app interests you at all, like whether you'd use something like this, or whether that kind of interests you thinking about like completing a region or just kind of ticking off new courses, and what kind of draws you to a course as well. Because I'd love to make this actually interesting to folk out there. My kind of initial thing was around like you get maybe a point for a course. But if it's a course that is a true links course, maybe it's an extra point. If it's a course that's hosted an open qualifier, like you were just talking about, maybe that's an extra 5 points. If it's a course that was designed by a legit famous architect, like a James Braid, an old Tom Morris, something like that, maybe it's another 3, 4, 5 points. And so you build up these points so that there's courses there that become, we kind of know of the old course in St Andrews, Royal Birkdale. We know of these famous courses that have hosted opens that are proper bucket list courses, but I'm trying to break down why they are bucket list courses, like what aspects make them these things that make them famous. Some of them it's literally they've hosted the open and that would be like an extra 10 points or something like that. Does that make sense? Like what do you think of as the kind of aspects that make a course really desirable to go and play?
Oh, first of all, I think it's definitely I think it's a great idea, and definitely beats the spreadsheet that I've got going with the courses I've played. I did that during COVID.
Oh, that's really cool. Okay, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a labour of love getting that done at the time, but what else were you doing during COVID? It's not that I've got an ambition to play every course in Scotland or anything, but I do want to sort of register that I've played these courses, and it's what led me into playing opens. So I really enjoy playing opens because I'm getting to play a different course. But to come back on a couple of the points, one of the things that I started to think about when I was younger was the open qualifying stuff. So it's like the tier below, effectively your open courses. Look, I've played a few of the open rota, been very lucky to do those. Played like Lytham, played Royal St George's, I've played Turnberry, I have played Carnoustie, I've played the old course. So there's still a few I haven't played. But below that, it's more accessible to go and play the qualifying courses, right? And there's something my brother always talked about. And I remember him completing all the Scottish qualifying courses at some point, and I'm like, wow, how'd you manage to do that? But he just went after it, basically. So I think it's a really great thing, and invariably if a course has been on the rota for final qualifying or even regional qualifying, they're usually pretty good. They're usually very, very good courses. Yeah. So I think that is a good criteria.
That's a really nice idea. I love that idea actually around the kind of the Munro bagging, the Corbett bagging, there's Hughes and Donalds. There's different categories of mountains in Scotland, and people love those kind of categories. I love the idea of having like a category that's not so much a region. It's something that makes a course interesting, and one of those could be open qualifying. So can you complete the open qualifying list? Can you complete I don't know what else you'd have. There'd be other kind of categories like that. That's a nice idea, like making these kind of lists that are around the country and give you a reason to go and explore these courses.
You could have, like, have they done regional qualifying for the Open? Have they done final qualifying for the Open? Have they hosted a Scottish event, like the Scottish match play for amateurs? The Scottish stroke play for amateurs?
Yep.
Because those are invariably pretty good courses as well, of course, and there's a good amount of crossover, but that is it's a good way to, and I think I've said this recently on here, Colin, I try not to put courses into order anymore. I just try to think, well, what's the best courses I've played? What are the ones I've had the best experiences on? And those tend to have a little bit of a badge of some respect, right?
Yeah.
They've probably been an open qualifying venue. They've probably been an open venue. Or they're in a tour event. There's something like that that's tied to it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the only courses that will be good, but it's a pretty good indication if you're trying to pick a course of which ones to try and get to, right?
That's it, isn't it? It's like how to, one of the goals of it, I think, as well, is to make a kind of fun game of completing your courses as a player, but also to give you some recommendations of where to go and play. And it's something around, obviously, the big ones, the open venues will end up at the top of the list. A few you mentioned there, the ones I mentioned, but they're inaccessible in many ways. Like, for a start, they're really hard to get onto to get a tee time in the first place, and then for a second, they're a fortune. They cost like £300-400 to play. It's like not accessible to most people. But there's all these courses, as we've mentioned a few times in the last few weeks, that are only, 50 or 100 quids, but they're just a bit like they're not that far off as good in quality. They're just kind of hidden gems. They just haven't gained that notoriety. So how you showcase those courses that have real credentials, real top quality, but yeah, only cost you 50 quid, 100 quid, and you can get on. You can book a tea time the week before and you're no worries.
Yeah, and I've got a couple from the last year, and it's almost like we planned this one. I've got one up my sleeve for the Open for this week.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that in the Open section.
All right.
Yeah, like, I think the accessibility thing is something we've talked about, and a lot of the Open Championship venues are becoming out of reach for people, unless it's like a once in a lifetime, which is still hard to justify when you look at some of the prices.
Yeah.
But maybe you can. But does that mean that's the only place you'd want to play and have a great time? I mean, there's plenty of other golf courses in Scotland and around the world where you don't need to go crazy on money and you can have an amazing round. Some experiences.
Any other, like, I think your thought around all of the different types of competitions, qualifiers, those kind of things, they're great qualifiers, because that means the course has been vetted. It's been voted good enough for like good players to be worthwhile one of these things. So that's a great one. And links as well. So like being a true links or something like that is a good little vote as well. People just enjoy that type of course. There's something around that as well. There's like,
I like the designer option you talked about. I think that's a great one. Yeah. And down here, people focus a lot on Harry Colt because he's English, of course. But we've got James Braid, right? And James Braid has designed, I think it's something like, I'm going to embarrass myself, I think it's like 200 courses. And if you go on the James Braid Society website, most of those courses have joined the society and you get reduced green fees. Yeah.
So I just discovered this yesterday. Another topic I wanted to talk about today was reciprocals, and I've just discovered that my course is part of this. And there's there's 300 plus courses on it. It's crazy.
300? Wow.
Yeah. So I've added that into the app and I've put it on a map. So I've now got a thing in this app whereby you can go to a page and it shows you all the courses as part of that association on the map. So you can kind of pick a region and find where they are. So that was to help me more than anything else, but hopefully that helps listeners too if they're part of one of those courses.
And the thing I'll say is James Braid courses generally, I haven't really played many bad ones yet, so it's a good one to think about. And many of them are open qualifying venues or have been, and they're just usually pretty good. And you can usually tell a James Braid design. Most of the trouble is at the front of the greens. It's a sort of classic thing that he does. Yeah. Some of them start with par threes, which is fairly unusual, but not necessarily for James Braid. So there's some interesting things that he's done in the past, and there's some brilliant courses just in his rota.
Yeah. Anything else you look for? Like if you're looking at a new course, any features, any elements, any credentials? Like even something that cropped to mind for me was like practice facilities. Like, do they have an actual like open driving range, for example, like a grass driving range? Like that's it's a kind of marker of a wee bit of a marker of quality, I would suggest. Maybe not always, but it definitely, I think there's something there. Plus, it's just quite a nice thing to have to be able to practice there before.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than rocking up at a place and you can't even hit a ball before you go out, right?
Yeah, so
maybe,
at least minimum.
Say you spend 100 quid, you can't hit some balls just to warm up.
Yep.
Not because you think you're heading for a tour, but you don't want to go out there cold and start losing balls right away and just be frustrated when you're trying to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, but it's you're right, absolutely. But it's a nice kind of elevation having a range as opposed to just some nets, isn't it? Nets are great, fine, but like having the range is a definitely step up. So I'm going to try and add that in. That's harder to find public info on that, so that might be one I'd have to build up the data over time. But yeah. Anything else you think about when you're visiting a course?
Do they have an open?
Do they have their own open? Yeah, okay.
Any types of open.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just restricting it to gents opens, but do they have ladies opens? Do they have seniors opens? Do they have mixed events? I think that'd be a good criteria because we've been highlighting some of the opens that we can get to, mostly in Scotland, but around the UK. But having easy access to that would be pretty good as well, because then you could say, well, I don't necessarily like the green fees maybe a little bit higher at that one. Oh wait a minute, they've got an open, brilliant, it's 50 quid versus 120 quid.
Yeah.
So you can go and play in that open as an alternative.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, perfect. All right. I'll keep thinking about it. We'll add to this. If you want to have if you're out there listening, you want to have a look at it, I'd love to get some feedback on it. Go over to, it's at our bothpar.com website. So bothpar.com, but it's track.bothpar.com because it's our course tracker. So track.bothpar.com. And I think, Ross, it's something I'll probably like be, I don't know, there'll be something we can do around like supporters of the podcast, people that follow along with it, getting some kind of benefits in there over time as I build it out. So yeah, I'm looking forward to building it out and getting some feedback from folks. So yeah, please go and check it out and let me know what you think.
Brilliant.
Alrighty. What could we do? So there was two other things. Well, yeah, we're kind of running on here. Maybe I'll save a couple of these for next time around. I was going to ask you about, I was doing a lot today around kind of practicing and trying to decide between when I was doing my pitches and my pitch and runs and stuff like that. That's short game stuff. I want to get into that with you properly though and have a good chat about that. So maybe we'll save that for next time around. But reciprocals, let's do that actually. This is something I'm kind of interested in. So it leads on from the last topic. Again, I've been playing with that pal over in Aberdeen, and I'm trying to figure out ways to make it cheaper to go and play with friends that are at other courses. And he's away over in Aberdeen, I'm in Inverness. So I'm trying to figure out ways to get, we can both play at the same course and actually not have to pay quite a lot of money. I've been looking into this. Like, when you joined your club, like, does your club have a lot of reciprocal deals? Do you ever consider
the one?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, the one I'm at currently doesn't have many because it's a hotel group and they've not got many courses left in the portfolio anymore.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think we've got one, which is Boundary Lakes down in Southampton.
Yeah.
Marriott are pretty good for that kind of thing when you look at big hotel places. But there's lots of courses I've got really good reciprocals. So in terms of reciprocals at Muiravoord, what kind of courses have you got access to there?
Yeah, so Muiravoord's pretty good. It's got some of your favourites, Brora. It's
Nice.
got Golspie, so it's got a good few up the coast from me. It's got like the Inverness courses. So it's got what, 9 or 10 in total, and a few really good quality ones in there actually. So it's really nice. You get about 3 rounds on each, cuts it down to 25, 30 quid per round. So actually like a really great price for the courses you can play around here. One along the Murray coast as well, Hopeman, which I'm going to play next time with my pal across in Aberdeen. So it is decent, but it is a smallish club, and like I say, it's only 9 or 10. And I've been looking into this more, like the courses up around me. Tell me if this is unusual then. Maybe it is based on what you've just said there. But like if you join, for example, I was looking at so Nairn Dunbar is another course not far from me, just along the coast a wee bit, but eastwards, near the more famous full Nairn, the Nairn course. But in the same town, but kind of not quite as renowned. But they've got maybe 15 or 20 reciprocals. So loads of stuff around that region. I was actually looking at joining their, they've got a type of country membership, so a bit cheaper. You can join for only £200 or £300. But you get access to 20 or so reciprocals around the Aberdeenshire area. And I was looking at joining just for that reason, because I played with a friend, paid 60 quid to go and play Colin last week. Colin's along the Murray coast, but I could have played that for 15, 20 quid on the reciprocal. So that would have saved me like 40, 50 pounds. So if I do that, if I'm paying £200 total and it's saving me 40, 50 quid, you're only talking about 4 or 5 rounds and actually paying itself off.
And when you say reciprocals for your course, are all of them the situation where you pay a green fee? Because I know that some courses have got reciprocals where you get one for free. Is there any of that situation as well?
I've actually never seen that. No, certainly in the courses I've been playing up here, the ones I've been looking into as well, it's always a discount. It's always making it. It generally takes it down to, 25, 30 seems pretty standard. And a very occasional, it'll say something like 50% off. If it's a very expensive course, maybe it's like 50% off. So,
yeah, and I'm just saying that Muiravoord is designed by James Braid, so you've got access to that society as well. So technically you've got, what, 300 you said earlier? 300
plus, yeah, it's amazing, yeah. So that's one part of it, yeah. For anyone out there listening, like if you're interested in getting around, going to loads of different courses, getting decent rates on it, joining, like as a second club, joining any James Braid course would be pretty worthwhile. And the fact that you can join a lot of these courses as a country member as well, when you're not that close to them, makes a big difference. Like the one, I don't know if you've seen this, Ross, but you can join Golspie. It's a Golspie course, one of your favorites, isn't it? And I thought it was great. Such a good course. You can join there. They have a country membership. They have a Highland membership as well. So they have a whole range of memberships that are only, I think the full membership's only about £500. And the country and the Highland are like £200 or £300. And you still get the reciprocals with those.
Wow.
And one of the reciprocals for Brora is actually Royal Dornoch.
What?
You have to be a full member to get it. So you have to pay
That's
the 500
awesome.
for that. And I think it's still, there's a few restrictions in terms of like when you can play and stuff like that, but you can get one.
But given one round at Royal Dornoch, if you've not got any, I guess, ways of getting the fees down at all, is 350 quid.
It is. It's, yeah, totally. Yeah. You don't, with the country, I think you don't get the Royal Dornoch reciprocal. Like they kind of cut it off a little bit, so you do have to be a full member. But still, even at the 500-600 quid, still worth it, I would have said.
Yeah.
And similar with the others, Barora and the like. One of the most interesting, have we talked about Spey Bay before?
I think we've talked a little bit about it. I don't know much about it though.
Yeah. So Spey Bay, you might remember this. One of their competitions is one of the most interesting opens around, which is their summer solstice comp. We talked about this.
I remember you talking about this, yeah.
Full day, you can play from sun up to sundown, and it's like 18 to 20 hours in total. So Spey Bay have a few of these. They've gone quite far in trying to make themselves a bit of a destination course, and they seem to be doing really well at it as well, like making it quite open, quite inclusive, you can come along. The green fee's not extortionate, good, like proper links course. And their opens are really kind of like interesting that way. But they have a membership which is, last I looked, it was 450 for the country membership if you're outside 60 miles, I think it was, and 550 for the full membership. So pretty reasonable. And their reciprocals are actually much more extensive. So they've got, in fact, I've got it in front of me here because I was looking at it just a wee bit ago. They've got about 30 reciprocals, including the likes of Trump Turnberry, Trump Aberdeen.
Wow.
For them, it's 15% off. So it's not like a huge discount, but still, like that 15% off your flipping like 400 quid or whatever it is decent. You've got...
I think Trump Aberdeen's got an open.
Has it? Really?
I think so.
Yeah.
Certainly used to.
Yeah. The course that I played, like Buckpool, remember I was talking about Buckpool? Yeah. It's got like half off that. You've got Lossiemouth. You've got a few of the local ones. You've got, you mentioned Blair Gowrie. They've actually got a reciprocal with Blair Gowrie.
That's brilliant.
So 40%
Blair Gowrie's may be really good.
Really? So 40% off there. If you're a member of Spey Bay. You've got like Nairn, you've got Royal Dornoch is actually, they've got a reciprocal, but it's about 50% off as well. So you're still paying a couple of hundred, but cheaper. Fairmont St Andrews down to 60.
That's good. Fairmont St Andrews is brilliant.
Yeah, really. So they've got a whole bunch like spread around the country. Pitlochry. So it's not just the area. Like the common thing, it's just the area, isn't it? But there's a few courses, if you look around, you can get a country membership or a full membership for not that much, and they include like a whole bunch of stuff around the country.
That's
so
really cool.
I'm looking at a few of these. I mean, it's a bit of a, well, it's there's two sides, isn't it? Like a lot of people would think there's no way I can afford to join 2 or 3 clubs, but then again, there's a lot of people paying like £2,000, £3,000 to join a club. I know down south, like my brother pays like £2,500 for his normal membership, like in Bristol. And that's like nothing too special. Whereas I'm only paying 500 quid for my local course. So, I mean, I can afford to pay for like 3 or 4 courses for the same price as a lot of the kind of down south courses. So maybe if you're in an area where your local course isn't quite as expensive as your average, you can still afford to pay for I know a lot of guys in the Central Belt will join a links course. Really? Or I would say at least a dry course. Because typically in the Central Belt, in the winter, a lot of the courses struggle. So a lot of the guys will join, and I've heard people join in places as far away as South and Solway. So really, yeah. I think they've got a good country membership deal, which is probably, I'd need to check. It's probably £400 or £500 as well. But
you get to go and play Silith and Solway, and if you're going down there maybe every second weekend, it's really worth it.
Aye. So if you know it's going to be a nice weekend over the winter-ish, you know you'll at least get decent conditions. Yeah, that's a good idea. The Spey Bay was on my list for that, actually, the fact that it's an hour and a bit for me, so it's a bit of a drive. I wouldn't do it that often, but yeah, for like a good winter weekend, it would be good condition because it's nice links and gets me these reciprocals too. So yeah, I may have to drop another few. Well, it'll be a choice of a new set of irons or one of these extra courses.
First world problems there, Colin.
Exactly, yes. I'm aware that this is a very privileged position to be able to afford that kind of thing. But again, like, who was it I was talking to another friend who has a friend in London. Do you have any of any pals in London that play golf, Ross, that are playing like literally tens?
I can tell you some green fees.
Oof.
Yeah.
Like what? What's the highest you've heard?
Royal Mid Surrey's, I think, 20,000 joining fee.
Oh, yeah.
About 4K a year.
Yeah.
And just near me, there's courses. Hankley Common is 13,000 to join, and 2.5 a year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's not a Devonshire; it's dead money. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. It's not coming back to you. It's like, do I get anything for that? Yeah, you get to pay the annual subs.
The privilege to then, exactly, to pay us more.
Yeah, you're giving us 13K to pay us 2.5K a year. Okay.
That was what I'd heard as well. It was a friend of a friend he was 20 plus. It was a pretty prestigious London course, I think, and he was like 22 grand joining fee.
Richmond, Royal Mid Surrey, they're around 20K. One of them might be 25.
That is absolutely mental. That is 40 years of green fees for my local club.
And no offence to Richmond, I've never played Richmond Golf Club. I played Royal Mid Surrey, and I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be paying 20 grand to join it.
No, that is bonkers. That's when you're in London, you're earning London wages, and it would take you, it's the only way to play golf because it's the only course within like an hour's drive because it takes you so long to drive anywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that is bonkers. Crazy money.
Yeah, so I mean, so for a lot of people in that situation, then joining a couple of blooming Scottish clubs and then jumping on a plane and flying up is probably cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay.
You could join Dornoch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. Anyway, I thought it was an interesting topic. Yeah, interesting to hear other ways to get around to different courses. That'd be cool to hear, actually. If anyone has a course, if you're out there listening, you're a member of a course that has some good reciprocals, I'd love to hear, actually, because even particularly English courses, actually, because I'd love the chance to be able to fly down, visit you, Ross, or visit some friends down that way and actually go.
I'd love to find a way to get cheaper golf down here, so totally. That'd be a great idea.
Get in touch. You can get in touch at hello@bothpar.com. That's hello@bothpar.com. We'd love to hear if you have. Let us know what the reciprocals are on your course. That'd be great to hear. All right. Cool. Do you want to tie us up with the Open then, Ross?
Yeah, and it's like we planned it, Colin, which we actually didn't. So this week's entry in for the Open is it's regional qualifying now, but it used to be a final qualifying venue for the Open, funnily enough. Downfield Golf Club in Dundee. There you go.
Okay.
Just off the Kingsway in Dundee, the main road that goes up through or round Dundee. I think it's about a mile from the Kingsway. So they've got an Open on Sunday, the 2nd of August, £45. That is a brilliant golf course. I played there in the Scottish Amateur Championship. Got beat by a guy from Muiraford, of all places.
Really?
Yeah. So, but a really good golf course. Just lovely tree-lined parkland. It just looks like a big place, which is great. And yeah, I really enjoyed the place. So £45, you can't go wrong for that Open. And the great thing is they've got spaces. So I checked their website. You can go on there, pay your £45, pick your tee time. There's tee times all day. I've got gaps, so really, really good one to go for, and I think people would really enjoy it. It's a brilliant, brilliant place to play.
Nice. What time of year did you say that was?
2nd of August.
August, right, perfect. Well, I wonder if I can have a look at that. I've got a few friends in Dundee.
Sunday the 2nd of August, which makes it a little bit easier on the travel as well. If you wanted to drive down the Saturday night, stay overnight, and then drive back after you played your game on the Sunday.
I can well recommend Dundee as a city to visit as well. If you're down south, if you're elsewhere in Scotland, it's a wee bit of a drive. You've not explored that area. Dundee's a great little city. The university, 2 universities there, so really lively. Loads of good pubs, bars, restaurants, cafes, all that kind of stuff. And of course, you've got the St Andrews coast, just like 15, 20 minutes south if you want to.
So much golf as
play
well.
around Dundee,
beyond Downfield.
Yeah,
huge
totally.
amount of golf there.
Even just like it's just even if you don't play in St Andrews, like even just driving down there and having a look around is always a nice little like couple of hours out. But there's tons of nice courses around there too, even if you don't want to get on the St Andrews association links or anything like that.
You could probably make it from Downfield to St Andrews in what, 35 minutes, 40 minutes in good traffic, something like that over the
less, like St Andrews from Dundee is about 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not far at all.
Brilliant.
Yeah, you don't even need a car, actually. You can bus from Dundee to St Andrews. So if you flew up,
there you
go. London to Dundee is a flight, because the Dundee airport's a tiny wee place, but they do flights to London. And you can train to Dundee really easily as well through the Central Belt. So chuck your clubs in the train or the plane, get up there, explore around the town, get a wee taxi out to the course, and you can still get down to St Andrews for
Put your name in for the ballot for the old course.
Yeah, totally.
See how you go on.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Good stuff. That's a nice one, Ross. Nice. All right. Thank you. That was good fun. Another good topic in the bank.
Absolutely.
If you're out there listening, we appreciate you following along. Please do get in touch. Yeah, so this week, that'd be great to hear, actually. There's Reciprocals, so do get in touch. hello@bothpower.com. Let us know what Reciprocals you get in your course. We'll try and build up a wee database around that. I can put it in our app. And give us a follow as well. So find us on Instagram. That's where we're putting out a lot of content if you want to just follow along. What are you covering there, Ross, on Both Par? It's just Both Par. No, is it just at Both Par?
At Both Sides of Par on Instagram. And we're putting clips from the episodes. We're putting stuff that we're doing. We're going to start putting swing clips in as well and golf shots for us. So we'll get that up there as well, Colin. But at Both Sides of Par on Instagram.
Yeah, I did a bit of recording today, actually. I recorded a few of my shots today, so you can see the progress. You can see the horrific swing very gradually getting better. At one point, I was recording, I've hit 3 balls off one tee, and I hit 1 straight down the middle, and then 2 onto the next fairway. So I'll probably release both of those, that full thing, just to show.
The one's going to the next fairway will probably be a great hit. Don't worry about
that. They were good hits, but not the right direction. But yeah, we'll put on more of them in future too. I'm going to use Coleman's tracer. So we had Coleman Golfs on Instagram on last episode, and he's got his open tracer, so you can put a wee clip in there. It creates a little trace on it. It's great fun, actually. I'm going to release a few of them over the next few weeks too.
Perfect.
Good stuff. All right. Thank you for listening. Thanks for coming on, Ross. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.
Cheers, Colin.